Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer, and this week on the show I am joined by Christine Carmack for a playthrough of their game, DIRE-004. DIRE-004 is a beautiful and tragic game for two players about two mech pilots trapped in a can't-win, certain-death situation, forced to decide between their imminent demise and the potential survival for the rest of humanity. In order to last long enough to defeat the unknown, an eldritch leviathan alien menace, both pilot and partner must form a bond that transcends spoken words. Can you learn the sequence of your partner's carries, divulge your own, and strengthen the synchronization linking your brains? This game is so wonderful, and I loved it so much, and I'm so grateful that we got to play it because it was so special. I really think that you're going to enjoy listening to it. That said, just a note, if you haven't picked it up from the description, this is a very heavy game. This is a very emotional game. This is a game that deals with very heavy themes like the inevitability of death and trying to form an understanding with someone in extremely stressful situations and sort of big cataclysmic secrets. So listener discretion is advised there. That said, fuck, I love this game so much, and I really cannot wait for you to listen to it, because I really feel like this is a wonderful, good-ass episode. You can find more information about DIRE-004 at christinecarmack.itch.io, or you can check the show notes for more information. Christine, as I mentioned, is the designer of DIRE-004. They are also the designer of a number of other wonderful games, including Called in the Ring, which we've played before on the show. You can find their work at christinecarmack.itch.io. You can find them on Twitter at hrteen. And now, I'm trying to think if I have anything else for you. I don't think I do. So, why don't we throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show? Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am so excited to be sitting down with Christine Carmack. Christine, thanks so much for coming on Party of One.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
So, real quick, at the top of the show, before we dive into our game this week, why don't you take a moment and let the lovely listeners at home know exactly what we're playing this week, as well as anything else you've got going on that you might want them to know about.
So today we're playing DIRE-004, which was a submission to the Scream Machine Jam. It is a game inspired by Neon Genesis Evangelion. It is about dread and the imminence of death and all these really fun things. It's a two-player game in which each player plays pilots in a soon-to-be-destroyed mech fighting against the cosmic leviathans of the unknown and trying to, in our final moments, destroy the unknown. That is one of the many micro RPGs that I've designed, which you can find on my itch, christinecarmack.itch.io. I use them to explore queerness, trauma, or other things that I think are neat, like wrestling, which, is queer in its own right.
Yeah, true. You're not wrong.
And currently I'm working on a game called Tramps Like Us, which is a supernatural powered by the apocalypse game about punk teens making music and rebelling against authority figures and maybe conjuring demons along the way.
Dope, extremely dope. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and dive into the game. I will read our intro, and then we will answer some world-building questions, and then we'll get into the action.
Fantastic.
They have been coming for weeks now. The unknown. Cosmic beasts of an unidentified origin, ravaging the world's major cities. You are two pilots, having completed training for your own directed interface robotic executor. You stand among the few who can bulwark humanity against this new threat. Today is your first deployment, and you and your partner find yourself quickly outmatched by the otherworldly Leviathan. After a barrage of attacks, DIRE-004 lays submerged under several tons of rubble. The power cable has been broken. The cockpit is overwhelmed by various sirens and flashing lights. 6 minutes flashes on screen before you, and you realize time is an ally of the unknown.
Awesome. So at the start of the game, we got a few questions to build our pilots and build the world. So we got the simple ones. What's our pilot's name and what do we look like? I don't know if you've done this beforehand or...
I have some basic answers for the easy questions. I haven't thought through The first 2 questions I have answers for, and the latter 3 I feel like I'll get to once we kind of start fleshing out who we are a little bit.
Sure. So I'll just read off all of them, and we can take some time. But what's your name? What do you look like? Have you ever seen the unknown before? How long ago did they first attack? And why do you pilot?
My name is Roy Hammerberg. Roy is he, his pronouns, and Roy is friend-shaped, very tall and very lanky. Probably like 6'6", 6'7".
Wow.
And he's a tall boy. He's a tall glass of water, and he is lanky to say the least. You would look at him and think that he is mostly arm and leg, if you were to surmise Roy Hammerberg in a nutshell. Tall and lanky.
All right. So I'm playing Carol Lynch, she, her. Carol is short and stout, conversely. Maybe 5 foot. Wiry. She eats her protein, she eats her carbs, and she does hard work. She's middle-aged, gruff, and it seems to be the physical antonym of Roy.
Yeah, which makes me think, like, if we're leaning hard into the antonym, which I really want to, like, if we're leaning hard into the opposites, I feel like I like Roy being in his early 20s, like, for a very kind of fresh-faced, has a face that, like, has the only way that I can describe it is has the cocky grin of a 22-year-old on his face at all times. Mm-hmm. It's that face is just sort of, it's ever present, of that one face of, like, I'm 22 and there is nothing left that can surprise me.
He's fresh out of college. Nothing can stop him but God.
Right, exactly.
And perhaps God is stopping him.
Were that any of us were to have that level of self-assuredness.
Yeah, I think Carol has the dead 1,000-yard stare of perhaps being on, having seen one too many simulations, maybe having seen what's happened to previous pilots. She's, in one sense or another, been around the block.
Yeah. So how long ago did the unknown attack?
I think the unknown have been around for a long time.
Okay.
And I think would be cool is if the unknown have been attacking for hundreds of years.
I'm down with that. That's dope.
And, are maybe ramping up in recent years for some reason.
Maybe it's a cycle, like every 22 years or what have you, like, we go through this same thing again, and each time like humanity does a little better because humanity has, like, prepared a little bit. And in the grand scheme of things, each time the world is a little worse because each time humanity has pushed a little bit further into the war machine.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
That idea of like we know that it's coming, we have a countdown clock. And so the world, like, each time the world is a little bleaker as the weapons that we have created to fulfill this inevitable job have become a little more refined, and we're able to carve out a little more of our own window, but we suffer in the lull periods. The world suffers because of what it takes to survive the strikes.
Yeah, and in order to not have the world end in that very moment, we are just crafting our own dystopia and our slow burn into the death of our planet.
Yep.
Very great, very dark. I love it.
Yep, feeling good.
Yeah, so Carol's probably seen one attack. This would be Roy's first attack, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think Roy has ever seen to the question of have you ever seen The Unknown before. I think Roy has seen like footage, but never been directly confronted with it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think the attacks are well publicized? Do you think they're covered up?
I think they have to be well publicized. If it's been going on for that long, I think they stretch past a point where people would have the ability to cover it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's much harder to cover something up from like 300. It's much harder to cover things up 300 years ago than it is when like that, well, versus like what we're able to discover now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was thinking initially it was like, oh, it's it's like a sea monster, and then it's
I love that though. I actually, yeah, let's go with that because I love that sense of like the monsters from mythology are every single time we have painted it as like whatever thing it is always painted as, you know, this thing has risen and we had to strike it down.
Mm-hmm. Like you know how like the biblical Leviathan people theorize is the Nile crocodiles, like that's just the unknown, and then people are like, you know, it's the steam engine. There was an accident with the steam engines, and then it's nuclear power, and it's one thing or another, and
yep.
You know, as time goes on, people probably, you know, as cameras come out and cell phones come out, there's anecdotal footage, but perhaps, like, there's no official government recognition of it.
Yeah, I like that.
So why does Roy pilot?
Roy pilots to be I think Roy is pure heroic enthusiasm. Roy pilots specifically to be the hero that he kind of sees himself as already. It's that kind of like unflappable like sense of like I am going to save the day, and like if stepping into the cockpit of this machine is going to like allow me to save the day, then it is my destiny to step into the hull of this machine. That sort of pure, wide-eyed naivete. It's the only way to describe it, is pure naivete.
Just pure babyface protagonist.
Yep.
All right. So Carol pilots to prove to her daughter she's still the superhero she once thought she was.
That's too good. I like that.
Yeah. Not on the sheet, but I wanted to pitch to you. What do you think the Dire is like, or what do you think piloting is like?
I am picturing the visual that pops into my head, because I am specifically anime trash that grew up in the mid 2000s. Is I gotta have a tube of goop.
Tube of goop?
I gotta have a goop tube. I gotta be submerged in a tube of goop.
All right. I love a goop tube.
So I think we are both like, it is like the cockpit itself is just these two giant tubes with the wires and like very like back to tank, or the lady from Outlaw Star who is in a goop tube.
Mm-hmm.
Of like we are submerged, we kind of like fall asleep, and like our movements just like our movements are just the movements of the Dire.
Awesome. So do you think we're not even fully conscious while this is happening?
Oh, I think that the idea that it is a dream state is very compelling to me. Like that we're like half awake and that we are conscious of like what is happening to the Dire, but like our own status. It's like, you know, we are half aware. Like it's a lot of dream imagery, which I think adds to the idea that like pilots who are interviewed after can't give a clear picture of what the unknown look like.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's their own, like they're kind of unconscious, so they don't have, which lends itself nicely to the idea, like the idea that this is something that is like kind of covered up, is that like people who are actively involved in it, even in an era when there is like incredibly advanced technology, like people's reports of it are like, I'm not really sure what I saw.
Yeah. Like, especially if the pilots are in this dream state, maybe like what the unknown is their worst nightmare or the thing they want the most. Like,
they all see something. They all see something different.
And that half-conscious sort of neural connection plays great into one of the mechanics of the game. So each player notes 5 secrets that their pilot keeps hidden deep down. These can be alluded to during gameplay, but they are not to be directly stated. These can be super heavy, they can be, wacky, they can be anything in between. I have mine ready.
I also have mine ready.
Fantastic.
And I will say, I swung for the fences.
In terms of heavy?
No, in terms of like big secrets. Like my secrets, I did not go for I guess casual secrets, I guess I should say.
I got a couple casual ones, a couple big ones. So we'll see how the drama plays out.
I'm excited.
So I guess I'll just run over the rules of the game relatively quickly before we jump in. So at the beginning of each round, a player rolls a d6 to determine if the unknown damages the hull of the Dire. On a 3 or less, the hull suffers 1 damage. After taking 4 damage, the cockpit becomes exposed and death is imminent to the pilots. Then the pilots cooperatively determine if this round will be a low power round or a full power round. On a low power round, each pilot can only perform 1 action, and each action can only be performed once. During a full power round, any combination of 5 actions may be performed between both pilots. There are 5 low power rounds and 1 full power round available to you, as you have 6 minutes before the cockpit shuts down. After these 6 rounds, DIRE-004 powers down and the 2 of you are helpless to the unknown. At the end of every round, give a hint to your partner about one of your secrets. A consequence of piloting together, your minds slowly link into one. These can be expressed verbally, physically, or mentally through the connection you share, which works great with the dream state idea. Yeah. The actions in the game, there's 5 of them. Attacking. Attempting to kill an unknown has proven fruitless in the past, but it's theoretically not impossible. 1 pilot attacking does nothing, but if both pilots attack, each player can roll a d6. If both players roll a d6, the core of the unknown is pierced, and humanity persists for another day. Parry. At the beginning of the next round, you must roll a 2 or less in order to suffer any damage. If both pilots have parried this round, you must roll a 1 instead of a 3 to suffer any damage. Divulge. In your last moments, you may build your bond with your partner by providing a hint about one of your secrets. If both pilots have divulged this round, you may instead entirely reveal a secret. This secret can be used to synchronize, which is the next action. You may attempt to guess one of your partner's secrets. If your guess is correct, this round becomes a full power round, allowing for 5 actions between the 2 pilots. If your guess is incorrect, each player rolls a d6. On a 1, that pilot experiences mental fry. They are in excruciating pain as the nervous systems intertwine and cannot perform any actions the next round. And the last action is self-destruct. DIRE-004 will explode in 3 turns. This will kill the unknown, as well as both pilots and countless bystanders. As instructed in the Academy, this is a last-ditch effort. This action must be agreed upon by both pilots. Reveal a secret to each other as the countdown begins. So, it's a quick, simple game. 6 rounds. Full of dread. Nice and harrowing.
Mm-hmm. I'm here for it.
Awesome.
All right, so we have our first round.
Would you like to roll the first unknown attack?
I will. Unfortunately, it was a 1, but I will roll it.
All right. Well, we do indeed get pierced by the unknown. What to Roy does the unknown look like?
To Roy, the unknown is very crystalline. It's
right.
They are crystalline behemoths. They are
Sweet.
They are icebergs that move. Like, and their sort of hands are crushing the bits of the hull and like tearing through it, and there are like fingers that are icy drills that are tearing into the hull, and and everything around us is frozen and frostbitten, and like wires are snapping, and all of this is unfolding in the dream state of Roy.
Wow. Yeah. Conversely, I think Carol is experiencing a much different reaction. I think Carol is seeing her teenage daughter, and she is experiencing a very peace-like feeling of just her teenage daughter, and it feels frozen and relatively peace-like, but unable to do much of anything. But what does Roy want to do?
I feel like I want to save the full power. I think I want to go low power this round. I think Roy is shockingly calm.
Okay.
As this is unfolding. Shockingly, like, has not lost that unflappable exterior. I love the idea that, like, we're in this dream state and, like, we can kind of see the tubes, but, like, where it's kind of an out-of-body experience where we're, like, walking around this hull.
Yeah.
And, like, you can turn back and see yourself in the tube, but, like, we're, like, walking around and, like, talking, and it's this big open space, and, in the sense that it's a dream space, like there are those very sci-fi floating hot like energy keyboards that pop up wherever we want to touch things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like it is, and so like the whole nav driving it like is very like in this dream state, like walking around this hull and like touching energy keyboards and things like that.
Just manifesting the controls.
Yeah.
So what action does Roy want to take?
I think Roy is going to take a parry action.
Okay.
I think there is a sense of Roy is standing kind of like and is very calm, and like as you kind of see him in your dream state, like virtually unmoving with his hands behind his back and that same sort of grin, just watching and just kind of muttering, hold.
Yeah, I think Carol is slightly induced for a moment by the vision that she sees, but perhaps is snapped out of it by Roy, and Roy's hold, and she'll also parry. So
okay.
we only have to get a 1 in order to take damage next turn. So as long as there's not another 1, we're good. And yeah, so I'm imagining there's not a lot of vocal communication. You know, like Roy spoke, but I'm imagining it is a lot of mental.
Yeah, like mental vision, like the things you see, and like, you know, you hear the voice as the other person sounds in your head. Yeah. And like we speak in that sort of overly direct, sort of dreamy kind of way where like if we speak, like there's not really conversation. It's very like I am expressing a point, and I'm going to like, and if the clearest way for me to convey that is through words, like I am blasting those words at you.
Yeah. And I think when Carol parries, she manifests her controls, and I like the keyboard. She inputs the I'm imagining her being the right pilot, the right parry sequence, and the right arm of the Dire pushes through rubble into whatever the unknown actually looks like, and the vision of her daughter manifests away, and she can see a little bit more clearly into what is actually the cockpit and Roy to her left.
And I think what you see, like Roy very much like, Roy is very unmoving, but he raises up his left hand very dramatically and like brushes a keypad, and the Dire's left arm comes up to sort of form an X in front of it. And it creating that, and then like an energy shield forms in front of it. Like that's the energy shield activation pose. But like, it's very much like, it's very quick. It's very sharp. It's like touch the buttons, arm back behind the back. And now I'm going to give you a hint about a secret.
All right.
And in doing that, like you look over and the tube that Roy is in catches your eye, and you see it, and it looks identical to yours, right? Like this sort of soft blue liquid that we're both floating in, but like you blink, and for a moment, like you look in the tube and there's nothing, and you see me still floating. You still see Roy floating, arms crossed in front of him, wires attached to every part of him. But there is no goop. There's this moment where you blink and there's no goop at all, and he's perfectly suspended, and the wires, you swear, and this must just be the dream state messing with your head. You swear you don't see the attachment cables. You swear you don't see the attachment cables. Or not the cables, what are the pads? You know the pads, you know what I mean by the pads that you attach like nodes to. You don't see those. You see the wires, but you don't see nodes. For this brief second, you swear you just see wires. You see the wires, but there are no nodes connecting them. They're just on him or in him, or they're just there. And there's no goop. And then you blink again, and I'm floating just like I was. And you can't quite tell which is the dream, which is just your dream being a weird dream.
Yeah, I think Carol definitely jumps in response to that. This, slight flash of body horror that she sees, and Roy gets a glimpse of a bit of a flashback, even that disrupts. Maybe even disrupts the energy field for a split second. But you see, you can surmise through Carol's eyes the DIRE-004 in the garage, I guess, that it's stored in. And she's lugging crates, and clearly doing manual and physical labor, alongside a number of other people, and is just continually looking up in awe at this huge mech, and then you snap back into the present, and the energy field resumes. And that's my secret hint.
Okay, I'm here for this. So, all right, it is our next round. We have had these moments, and I think that the detail that I want to throw in is as I'm seeing that flashback, Roy is walking around this space, kind of a little bit Christmas carol-y is the only real way that I can describe it, but like, or like Avengers Endgame-y of like, I'm like, I feel like, and I look like I'm consciously there in a way that makes it look like I have digitally been placed there. Like I don't belong in this scene as I'm like walking around like observing it in the background.
Very uncanny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Carol is very still. She probably is very I'm imagining the simulations or training that they do doesn't require them to move or anything. So she's probably entirely rigid, except for when she flinches or jumps because she sees weird body horror from her partner. She is just entirely rigid and just like a boulder.
Very good. All right, we are now in round 2. Would you like to roll for hull damage?
I shall roll. That was a 4. So
all right, so we're okay.
We managed to not take damage. We stave off our visions. Is Roy still seeing the same crystalline beings?
I think what Roy sees, I think like the room itself is starting to freeze over.
Mm-hmm.
The room itself, but I think that they start to like the beings themselves kind of change, and they kind of start to change very kind of rapidly, where like for a moment they're sort of like reptilian, and for a moment it's very like tentacles and dripping ichor, and for a moment it's like pure shadow, and like it's taking a lot of forms like all at once. Like it is this thing where like every time you blink and look in another direction, like it's another thing, but in that dream logic way that I can tell this is one thing, I've just seen it in 6 different ways.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the vision of Carol's teenage daughter has returned, but thanks to Roy, has now been augmented with cables just pouring out, vaguely Doc Ock-esque,
Sure.
that are throwing themselves at the cockpit, at the goop tubes, and maybe grappling on. I think probably another low power round.
Let's do another low power round.
How does Roy feel about attacking?
I could attack. I could be convinced to attack.
Yeah, I think, Carol, despite being generally the rock, is pretty flustered, and I think she'll turn to Roa and be like, let's just get this fucking thing.
Let's do it. And I think Roy is very unflappable, and energy screens kind of appear around him as his hands are behind his back. And he, like, without even looking in Carol's direction, it's just like, initiate attack formation. Let's do that.
All right.
Let's do what this thing was made to do.
And Carol manifests her keyboards and is rapidly typing in a very long sequence. And I'm imagining the right arm cocks back, and the fist turns into a cannon.
Oh, and I definitely have the fire controls. Like a targeting computer kind of pops up in front of me, and I'm like waiting to just like tap the button to hit fire.
Yeah, and Carol definitely turns to Roy and just nods.
Fire.
All right. 2.
3.
All right. Yeah, I think we probably do fill the unknown with plasma or whatever we're firing at it, but I'm imagining it just slowly refills itself, or our Carol's vision like distorts and then slowly comes back into focus.
And for a moment after I hit that button, like we fired off, like things explode, and for a moment you look at, as my hands like comes back behind my back, you see it, and there is blood on it, like dripping, and it's clearly not Roy's blood, but my hands have blood on them, and you look, and in the same, you see, like on a doorway around the corner that wasn't there before, 2 feet, like laying down flat, like like the 2 legs that are obscured by the door, but they are wearing a left side pilot jumpsuit, and there's like a blood pooling underneath.
Whoa. Okay. I think Carol falls to the ground upon seeing that, and maybe even like within the confines of the goop tube, like scurries against the back of the tube, and you seeing this, you see Carol is suddenly no longer wearing the right side jumpsuit. Carol is wearing an entirely different uniform that you don't recognize. She's wearing this black and red outfit that is sleek, is obviously not suited for piloting. And you blink, and then suddenly she's back in the right side pilot jumpsuit, heavily breathing and staring at you.
I love it. And so that we begin our next round. I'm going to roll. That is a 6. We are safe for now.
All right.
I am going to... I think that what we see is... I think that the hands themselves, the things that are grasping and stabbing and smashing, now look increasingly like Dire's to Roy. They look more like the very machine that we're in. Maybe not this exact model. Maybe it's the 3. Maybe it's the 6. Maybe it's the 12. But like those hands, and like we get glimpses where some of them look less refined, right? Like we get glimpses where some of them are clearly not the fleet that was deployed, but like they're all different models, and just seeing those hands like grasping and stabbing and smashing that are very clearly the hands of the Dire.
I love that. Yeah, Carol, her daughter, slowly morphs into Roy. And the tubes keep wailing, or the wires keep wailing away. His jumpsuit is covered in blood. And as this happens, slowly a second Roy splits off of the first Roy. And they are both pounding and smashing at the cockpit with these tube arms.
All right. What action would you like to take?
Well, should we go full power or low power, you think?
I am feeling like I might want to call for a low power, because I might want to... I feel like one of us can synchronize this round.
That's fair. Let's go for a low power. I think Carol is going to like try to like stammer out, again, still backed up against her tube. You're not supposed to. You're not the real pilot, are you?
And Roy, for a moment, like, is still, and then for a, like your vision changes, and for a moment, like, all you see is that tube, and it's empty, and like there are the wires coming into Roy, and then you flash again, and and you're in a bathroom. You recognize this. You've been here before. This is one of the bathroom. This is one of the bathrooms in the docking bay. Like, mm-hmm. This is one not far from the station. And you step inside, and there are footprints. There are bloody red footprints. And there are 2 feet sticking out from one of the stalls. And they are wearing a left side jumpsuit. And you see a figure. You can't make them out just yet. You see a figure pulling those boots off and putting them on, and stands up, and covered in blood is Roy. But then you look in the stall, and that's Roy. But this is, and you realize you have uncovered a secret, which is, I have killed and replaced. I am not Roy Hammerberg. I killed Roy Hammerberg and took his place as pilot of this vessel.
Yeah, I think Carol screams. I'm imagining the Dire pilots probably have a sidearm on them, you know, mm-hmm. for worst comes to worst. And she probably instinctively draws it. And is like, why are you here? Why would you do that?
I am going to respond to that by taking an action. So, because you've correctly guessed, this is now a full power round, which means we have an additional 4 actions that we can take.
Yes.
I'm going to give a divulge action.
Okay.
And I say, you've got your gun pointed at Roy, and I'm standing there, and I'm like wiping the blood off very calmly, and I just look in the mirror and I say, he was too inexperienced. He was never going to be able to do what needed to be done. Countless others like him have fallen before. Bright-eyed, wide-smiled youngsters who think that they can walk in here and be a hero. I wasn't about to let that happen. I ran the numbers, and he was already dead. I figured I had a better shot at this, so I'm taking my shot.
If the Academy let him in here, who are you to decide otherwise?
I might want to also take a synchronize action.
Okay.
I think I stand and I turn around and I'm like, who are you to say? You were never a pilot. You were never an Academy pilot to begin with.
So Carol freezes. And just stammers over a syllable for a moment, and is like, and holsters her pistol, and just says nothing. And you have indeed revealed a secret.
Now, in retrospect, it doesn't gain us anything to reveal a secret now that we've already revealed a secret, but it was pretty satisfying.
No, it was very good. The spice. She goes, well, I guess none of us should be here.
And yet we are.
So let's finish this job.
Let's finish this job. Now we have a decision to make. Carol the not Academy pilot. Roy I'm not a pilot. So
what are you then?
I'm Roy. I'm I guess I'm a pilot now. I guess we both are.
Fucking weirdo.
So, we're running out of time. Do we self-destruct, or do we continue in a holding pattern?
I got a daughter.
Do we self-destruct, or do we stay in a holding pattern? Do we think that, or do we try to strike, and do we think that we can make this happen? We have 3 actions left, or 2?
Synchronize, divulge, synchronize. 2 actions left.
We have 2 actions left. So we could attack. We could both parry. We could do different things, or we can activate self-destruct.
I think Carol is sweating and is frozen. But while she's not saying anything, a big red button manifests next to her, and she silently looks at it. And she says, Do you want to do this?
And he stops for a moment. I'm gonna hint at a secret before I declare what my action is. But it's gonna be my end of turn 1 because my action is I think I pause for a moment and I say, I've lived long enough. I'm prepared to do what it has to take to stop them. And the red button appears next to me, and I raise up my hand, but I don't push it. I don't tap it with my finger just yet because I want to wait for Carol.
Carol, I'm sure crying a little bit, gulps, and slams her fist down on the button.
I tap it with the very tip of my finger. But they both light up, and we have activated self-destruct, which means in 3 turns, DIRE-004 will explode. It will take out the unknown. It will take us both out, and we'll take out countless bystanders.
All right.
We have some time left, though. We both get to reveal a secret to each other.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Yeah, I would love to go first. I want to reveal a big secret.
Okay.
We hit the button, everything rattles. And for a moment, in the goo, you wake up and you look over. And this is your, for a brief second before, the machines kick in and, lull you back to sleep, you look over. And you see that body horror thing that you were seeing, me floating in the air covered in wires.
Yep.
Is 100% real.
Jesus.
It is 100% what is happening. You are bathed in a soothing, numbing anesthetic goop. I am floating in the air with wires stabbed into me, and they are blinking. My eyes are open, and you see them kind of glowing.
Woof.
My secret is that I'm an android.
I love that. Yeah, I think Carol is definitely speechless for a moment. Before she's like, what the fuck?
And I think that's when the dream state kicks back in, and we're back I think we're in the cockpit now, but I am fully I look like Roy. Mm-hmm. I've clearly taken I've clearly, after I killed him to take his place, took on his appearance. But now I am no longer wearing that. I'm no longer wearing the pilot suit in the dream state. I'm wearing just a straight black jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm standing before you well, I suppose you might have questions.
Yeah. What the fuck?
I suppose the only answer that I can give you is that androids exist. Well, android exists. I exist. And, well, I'm here now. I guess androids are capable of interfacing with the Dyers after all. That's, well, android. I am. I have wondered at times if there are other androids. I'm not sure, if I'm being honest. If we can be real with each other for one moment.
Was I just a guinea pig for a test run for an android?
Oh no, no, not at all. Your contributions, the contributions of every single Dire pilot are appreciated. I am a test pilot, pun intended, to see if I, the android, again, I'm not really sure if there are others, could pilot. I meant what I said, or what you thought I said. Our brains are kind of in sync right now. This is a weird feeling, right? Am I finding this weird?
It is weird.
I meant what I said when I said that I ran the numbers in my head and Roy was already gone. There was no way he was going to survive this. However, there was an element of a test subject in me in that I wasn't sure I was going to be able to take his place. It was sort of an impulse call, but it seems to have worked out. It seems that I can pilot this thing.
So you killed a man?
Statistically, there was about a 16,871.46555 repeated to one chance that he walked out. I would argue that I merely expedited a process.
Man, I don't know if that Star Trek episode made good points after all.
Well, fair.
Also, I don't know where my southern accent came from, but I have it now.
True story. This is not a game story. I have a southern accent that comes out when I get mad. Even, like, I lived for, 2 years in Oklahoma, and people have said that if I get real mad, sometimes a southern accent comes out.
I have deep Alabama grandparents, and when I get very drunk, I have the same thing. And then people accuse me of making it up, or
that's very funny,
or mocking them.
That's very funny.
Anyways, well, rest in peace, Ray. I already forgot his name.
Roy Hammerberg.
Roy Hammerberg. And I think Carol is just in shock, in disbelief. She knows she's gonna die. She knows the person she thought she was piloting the Dire with, and I'm imagining has been doing practice or all of her training with, is dead and is not the person she thought she was piloting with. She knows androids are real. You know, her entire existence is been turned upside down. And she slumps down again and is like, well, do you have a name?
I do. Well, I have a designation and I have a name. I think it's only fair that you have both because, we are friends. My designation is 417D/7, but everybody that knows the deal, and I think he throws air quotes when he says that, calls me Iceberg.
Okay, Iceberg. Well, since we're all sharing secrets, I guess.
And I think at this moment, like, a table and chairs and, like, a tea set has emerged.
And the unknown is still, like, crushing and pounding. Yeah. But Carol takes a seat and is drinking some green tea. She says, do you know how I got a job at Dire?
I do not. I must admit, I know a lot of things, but that is not one of them.
I was an agent for our competitor, AIM. not AIM. Strike.
Dread.
Dread. I was supposed to get intel and whatnot, but gosh, everybody here was so sweet.
Well, I can tell you this. You did unravel one hell of a hidden secret.
Boy, did I. A little bit too late, in fact, but,
Well,
when life gives you lemons.
better late than never.
Sure. Well, I think, I think there's a moment of silence, as Carol is processing, and, Iceberg, who, just has a lovely personality, also seems to be, is perhaps processing, but in a different sense. And as to perhaps give a hint about a secret at the end of the round, Carol looks at Iceberg and says, You ever watch The Simpsons?
I haven't, but gimme. And he sits back and kind of goes blank face for a moment and then all right, yeah, I've watched Simpsons.
Well, all right. What do you think?
First couple seasons are great. There's some bright spots in the back half, but I mean there's more that I grinned at than laughed at after a certain point. But it did make me laugh out loud in the, I guess, second or so that I watched the first 10 seasons, which is really quite an achievement.
Interesting. Well, why don't you tell me a hint about one of your secrets?
I will. My secret is the secret that I want to give a hint at is, I think as I do that, in that moment, I kind of, I laugh and I lose myself for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And for a moment, the jumpsuit kind of, I kind of lose the shape in the way that you're watching someone in a dream and they kind of step out of focus for a moment. And it kind of refocuses and I'm in a business suit. And there's a lab coat over top of this business suit. And behind me, sitting at the tea table behind me, there are just people running left, right, center. People who are carrying clipboards and diagrams, and I laugh and I start to lose that laughter. And suddenly I'm back and people have all kind of faded away or gone through doors that weren't there. And, I'm sitting back, but now you see me, you can't unsee that business suit and that lab coat that I was wearing a moment ago, or that now I'm permanently wearing that in the dream state.
Interesting. Well, would you care to see if the unknown manages to strike through us?
That is another 6. We are safe.
All right. We're just having a grand old time while we're, facing our imminent doom. Yeah.
I think what Iceberg sees here is Roy. I think that Carol's words got through to him, and now I'm kind of facing the reality of what I did, and now suddenly I'm just seeing Roy's bloody hands smashing at glass, and hundreds of Roy just smashing a glass and peeling open metal paneling and just getting closer, and I'm just looking around and slowly that sort of calmness and that sort of jovial energy that Iceberg was projecting is sort of slumping away and sort of like he's kind of retreating into himself a little bit.
God, I think Carol, is thinking about The Simpsons, and then looks out through the cockpit and just sees a mass of people, like hundreds of people, who suddenly the flesh on their head just gets peeled away to reveal wires and metal and skin, and they're marching aimlessly, beating at the cockpit. The greater weight of their metal frames cracking the glass and the denting the metal of the hull. And she shudders and is thrown aback and tries to shake it off. How about a full power round just for the heck of it?
Let's do it.
I think Carol is gonna say, I know we already put this baby in self-destruct, and you can hear like the engine whirring up faster and faster and faster. But maybe we can, what if we manage to kill it before it self-destructs, and we can get the hell out of here? I
sit back and I smile. Like I'm kind of like dealing with it, and I'm looking around at everything, but I kind of stop and I'm like, almost distractedly, like, well, there is an executive level override. It's not really taught in the academy. I mean, there's an outside chance that we could just blast this thing. So that was me taking a divulge action, and now I'm gonna say that we can attack if we want to.
Oh, well, executive override, and I will do a little roll. Ooh, I got a 3.
I also got a 3.
Well, at least we matched.
All right.
So we were.
That's 4 of our 5 actions.
We were linked. 4?
Or wait, what were you rolling for? Oh, what were you rolling for?
The attack.
Oh, I was also rolling for an attack.
Yeah, so we both take the attack.
Right.
And then you divulged.
Oh, that's 3. That's 3 actions.
Yes.
You're right. I thought there was a 4th action somewhere. You're right. That's 3. So we got 2 more actions. We got 2 more actions we can take.
Yeah, I'm imagining we probably do the same canon. But we've devoted so much energy to the self-destruct that it just like sputters out, embarrassingly so. I think I'm gonna divulge and say a secret.
Well, so actually that means that, does that mean we both may instead entirely reveal a secret that we can then later use to synchronize, or just one of us?
Both of us can.
Okay.
After, we try to blow it, away, we both return to our green tea, to get frickin' pumped, and Carol says, I gotta be honest, Iceberg. I think Late Simpsons is really good.
That's my favorite secret that I could possibly imagine. That's a very good It's a very good secret, is the thing.
I'm pretty darn embarrassed about it. I know they got some really bad social commentary, but it's still pretty darn funny.
I thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing what has to be your deepest and darkest secret. May I return the favor?
Please. Yes.
old do you think I am?
Carol.
Let me ask you this way: how many times have you seen an unknown attack?
Once.
Once. So this would be your second. Okay. Yeah. Okay. How many do you think that I've seen?
Well, if I think back about the history of automatons and androids, I might guess that you date back to about, Leonardo da Vinci.
What? Now, okay, you said you were doing corporate espionage. You have to tell me if you snuck into my files. You are legally obligated in this moment of trust between friends to tell me if you broke into my files and tracked that I date back to the times of Leonardo da Vinci. Like that, you legally have to tell me that.
I swear I didn't. It was just an educated guess. You know, he had flying machines. He was trying to invent a way to basically never sleep. It makes sense he would make a way to build a man.
Yep, that's about where. Well, to the best of my estimation, that is about when I was created. I'm not 100% sure because, you see, the name Iceberg, I was kind of found in the ice. That's kind of where the name comes from. So I'm this. I've seen a lot. I've seen this play out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that I knew that he was gonna, it's not a computer thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And forgive me for trying to, I guess, ration out my own feelings of guilt, but I'm not speaking in terms of guilt. I'm more saying I've seen Roy come to battle somewhere between, I've seen probably 200 to 300 Roys.
Well, that's fair then. I guess the man had to die.
He didn't, and
Oh.
This is me talking through my own feelings of guilt, but I wanted you to understand the logic that drove me to do what I did, which I'm starting to think was not the right thing to do.
Well, killing a man is illegal.
It is illegal.
And, generally considered morally wrong by all cultures.
That is also something that I've picked up.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess I'll get my just desserts, provided that we don't shoot out of here and use the executive override, but it doesn't feel great.
Now, you're not gonna kill me, right?
No. I have nothing but the utmost faith that you are the single most competent pilot that our program has ever produced.
Well, that's probably a lie.
You've got heart, and a lot of the pilots don't have. There are a lot more Roys than there are Carols. There are a lot more smiling youngsters out to prove themselves than there are people out to inspire their kids. Let's put it that way.
That's fair. And Carol looks pensively, thinking of Amy, her sweet teenage daughter. I think that was all the actions for this round.
I believe that was all of our actions this round. I think we have one more, but I think I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it to parry, if that's all right, because I think that'll segue nicely into hinting about a secret.
All right.
So I think I spin around, and like for a brief moment, I spin around, and I'm like in the pilot suit again.
Mm-hmm.
And I stand up, and now I'm fully like flailing and touching things, and I'm no longer this sort of like removed, retreated thing. And as I'm doing this, like not coming from me, but in my voice, in your ear, in this dream state, you're just hearing, "Come on, no, I know you can do this. I know you're better than this. I know you, I know what you're capable of. You are capable of blocking everything that they throw at you. You are capable of doing everything. I know every inch of you, and I know what you're capable of. You're gonna survive this. And I'm gonna use that action to parry.
All right. Carol is hearing this and is like, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. I am.
And I stop for a moment. I turn around and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you are. You are too.
And she throws her green tea down and stands up very triumphantly and goes, yeah, I gotta get back to Vice Commander Hernandez. I gotta see that face one more time.
Yeah, you do.
And that's my secret hint.
All right.
And I'll roll.
All right.
And it was a 2.
Okay.
So
the hull is damaged.
Yeah. So Carol, I think this army of androids slowly starts to morph into one big mass of metal that is trying to absorb the Dire. That is clinging on and like trying to like pull it in from what she can see. And the it's like compressing, like it's under pressure.
Mm-hmm. And I think what Iceberg sees is Iceberg. I think that the Roys have changed shape and are now thousands of identical looking androids in lab coats smashing everything and like just bashing and smashing and like violently striking with clipboards and like staplers and like whatever kind of office supplies you would bludgeon someone with. Mm-hmm. That they're just smashing and tearing, and they're starting to break through. But they're all Iceberg, and they're all showing the kind of violence that Iceberg has learned he's capable of.
Hell yeah. So this is our second to last round, and it's going to be a low power round as the clock shows 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. I am going to try to synchronize.
Okay.
And Carol is, she's back up and at him. But she has a moment of realization. I have no idea if this is right or not, but Carol is convinced it's right. And she goes, Iceberg, your creators, they were androids too.
And he stops for a moment and he goes, no, my creator was Da Vinci. I'm pretty confident. I don't know that for sure. As far as I can tell, for a moment, because our minds are so synced at this point, like flashes of textbooks and all of these notes just swirl around you. And it's like, I thought that for a while, but it doesn't, I can't find the evidence of that. If you're seeing it, that means that that might be a lead, but it doesn't map out, and I can't figure out why it's wrong.
Yeah, so Carol and not Christine immediately has the realization that theory doesn't line up with that previous secret at all. And she's immediately like, oh, yeah. Of course, and I think we'll make your roll for an incorrect guess. Mm-hmm. She does not experience mental fry.
Okay, because I'm going to take a divulge action, and I think I stop for a moment and I kind of put my hands behind my back a little bit, and I'm like, though. Oh, I see. you've got machines making machines on the brain. Got it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And like that's my divulge as he kind of like laughs at that and goes, that's what I see the brain path you're on, and kind of starts like clicking buttons again.
All right. Well, that is our entire round.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is our final round.
Well, so we do have to give hints before.
Oh yes.
You've guessed three of mine have been guessed or revealed already.
I have 3. I have 2 left as well.
I'm doing better than I thought I was.
We're both doing great.
So, you, as Iceberg is laughing, suddenly get a memory of, I guess suddenly get one of Roy's memories.
Mm-hmm.
Of Roy in the break room in the Dire headquarters, telling this long-winded, hilarious story of the time he got his arm stuck in a vending machine, and he delivers
his arm is currently in the vending machine, which is when he's telling the story.
Yes. Guys, you're never going to believe this hilarious story. Guess how it ends. Please tell me how it ends. Please get me out. And he nails the punchline, and everyone is just cackling and dying, except for Carol, who's just sitting there entirely straight-faced, maybe even a little quizzical. And you get a weird, just like B-roll montage of Roy getting flustered, from telling a story to Carol, and Carol not reacting, and never getting the reaction that he wants from Carol.
The secret that I'm going to hint at is, as there's a moment where like some of the unknown, like a window pane breaks, right? Or like something breaks, like something shatters. And for a moment, under his breath, Iceberg just says, "You lying bastards," and like smashes a thing, and like an airlock or like something activates, like an energy shield pulls that arm back out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Interesting.
And it's our final round. I'm going to roll to see if we take any damage. That is a 5. We're good.
All right. Well,
our machine is going to self-destruct at the end of this round. It is a low power round, so we have two actions.
Yeah, what would you like to do?
I am going to divulge.
Okay.
And I think I divulge by fully just collapsing in the dream state and just like laying against a wall. I'm exhausted. At this point, I think that like all of the things we've described, I'm seeing all at once, right? Like, and it's all just tearing through, and I just kind of raise up my arms and I'm like, I thought it would work.
Oh.
I thought I had it cracked.
I love Iceberg.
What can you do?
All right. I'm going to synchronize.
Okay.
And I think, as the, there's probably tons of sirens, and various beeping. I'm sure the cockpit is like a crimson red as the self-destruct is about to go off. And Carol looks at Iceberg and goes, You built this, didn't you?
He kind of sits back and he smiles and he looks around, and you see around you, like, now suddenly we're all, like, our little platform is, like, floating in the air in this docking bay.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the Dyers are around us, right? Like dozens of them, earlier models of them. A gigantic steam car is in the background, like a giant steam engine with like tank turrets on it is in the background. And I'm like, yep, I built them. Well,
Yes.
I mean, other people built them, but like, I made them. If I may be so egotistical.
I think Carol's eyes light up, and is like, "That's amazing! You gave me so much." And do you remember what I named the vice commander?
Hernandez.
I am going to divulge, because we have free extra actions since I got that. She is stammering and excitedly listing off things, and she's like, I wouldn't have gotten a new lease on life. My family's proud of me. I wouldn't have met Sophia without you. This organization means so much to me. You mean so much to me.
I'm happy to hear that. I gave a lot of myself to this team. I'd say this organization, but it was you know, the infrastructure of it and the actual machines, I mean, they're pretty great. And I say that as a machine. Like, I recognize the beauty of them, but I mean, it's fine. I enjoyed getting to know you. And I enjoyed getting to know Sophia. And I enjoyed... Roy was an asshole. I will say that. In my own defense, like, not that I'm trying to continue to justify my murder, but Roy was an asshole. However, I enjoyed Roy, and I'm glad that of all the things that I built, I'm glad that this team was the one that I think is going to survive and last past us.
Carol runs her hand along the manifested cockpit controls, and is like, this is you. It's, I mean, you said it's fine, and so I don't want, I mean, if you don't like that, that's fine, but it's you.
I see what you're saying, and yeah, it is. I mean, there's a lot of this that is me. And because I also get to reveal a secret here, which means I get to reveal my last secret.
Mm-hmm.
I built a lot of this, and I don't know if it's for the better. And you get flashes of the machines, right? The war machines, and flashes of this military-industrial complex.
Mm-hmm.
And flashes of a war room. And across from, and on one side of it, it's very, like, it's really a tent. It's like a war room as a tent, right? Like a Magna Carta style, like, tent on a smoking battlefield. And there's like a map, and there's like scrolls laid out. And on one side is Iceberg dressed very pompously, and on the other side there is Bart Simpson, or an android, or Roy, or a mass of metal, and you see a flash of paper and it says 22 years. And you see war machines being built.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I built a lot. And I don't know if all of it was for the better.
Carol lingers on that for a moment, definitely acknowledging how life has gotten worse in the time that she's been alive. And she says, "You made mine better. You definitely made mine better."
Well, I appreciate that, friend.
And, you know, it was definitely better piloting with you. And I'll reveal one of my secrets.
All right.
You know, I never even got Roy's jokes anyways.
Well, yeah, you know, I don't think any of us really did, if we're being honest.
You're a funny guy, Asperg.
Thank you. Now then, let's try taking one last attack, and then I've got another plan.
Okay. She smiles and picks herself up and arms the keyboard.
It's a 5.
A 3.
So we have one action left before self-destruct.
Yeah.
May I make a proposition?
Okay.
May I take an action not on the list?
Okay.
A secret action?
Go ahead.
I think we sit quietly together and for a moment, I'm going to take the action executive override as the creator of the DIRE program. And I'm going to offer you a choice. And I think we are sitting in a green field and your daughter is playing with Sophia. And I look over in their direction. I'm like, what if I gave you a chance to join them?
Oh my god. Carol starts crying. And she, I think, instinctively reaches out towards the two of them for a moment. And
I think as you do that in the dream state, you look down and your hand is metal.
She panics and pulls it back. And she looks over at Iceberg and says, I had my chance. I had my chance.
Then all I can tell you, as the clock ticks down like 10, 9, is that they will be taken care of. And they will know exactly what a superhero their mom was.
She, still sobbing, says thank you and pats or grabs Iceberg around the shoulders.
And he says, "We made a damn good team for two people that were never supposed to pilot."
And she laughs as I'm imagining the cockpit just starts to collapse.
I think it gets that we see 2, 1, cut to black, and that's game.
That's great.
Oh, that was good. That was very, very good.
That was really good.
That was a beautiful game. I'm so happy with that.
That was great. Thank you so much for playing with me.
Oh, thank you. This was wonderful. This was an incredible experience. How are you feeling? You feeling good?
Yeah, that was great.
All right. I'm good. I just, emotional check-in. It was a heavy game. I feel very satisfied.
Yeah, no, that was, it was a heavy game, but it was a super satisfying story.
I'm so happy with it. Oh my goodness. Thank you for coming on the show and playing it with me. This was a blast.
Thank you for having me.
So real quick before we wrap up, where can people find you and your work online?
You can find all my games on christinecarmack.itch.io, and you can follow me for new games and general bullshit on twitter.com/hrteen, Tine.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a blast. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap things up.
All right.
Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Christine for coming on the show. That game was so heavy and so intense and so emotional and cathartic. And I'm just extremely grateful that we got to play it together because it was a really it was one of those experiences that I have carried with myself ever since we got to play it. You should go to christinecarmack.itch.io and pick up your own copy of DIRE-004, as well as Christine's other games, including Called in the Ring. Like I said, we played that on the show. You should go listen to that episode with Scotty Moore. That's a great episode. And you should follow Christine on Twitter at HRTine. That's HRTINE. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Party of One Podcast, even though I don't really post there and you're not really gaining anything from it. You can join our Discord community at bit.ly/Party of One Discord. If you enjoyed the show, you should go to podchaser.com and leave us a nice review and a 5-star rating. Helps new people find the show, but more importantly, it sends a nice little email to my inbox that brightens my day. You can also support the show financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or coffee.com/JeffStormer. Or you could just tell a friend about the show. That also works. One other thing you can do is listen to the other podcast that I produce, All My Fantasy Children. If you like Party of One, I think you're going to really like AMFC. It is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast on the One Shot Podcast Network, where every week my best friend and I, Aaron Catano-Saez, we take a listener-submitted prompt and we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. As always, Party of One is produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Megaran featuring the D&D Sluggers. And the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about press coverage of the show, about advertising rates, or about coming on the show as a guest, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And honestly, I think that's it. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.